All right, guys, today's lesson is on the history of the tank. And this is going to be from its earliest time to just after World War II, because any longer than that, it's not going to fit in 5 minutes. So, how does it start? This goes all the way back to the Middle Ages. How do you attack an enemy while being protected? So, we got the image of the siege tower, is one way to do it. Like you've probably seen in movies, battering rams with shields on top of them. That helps cover the problem, but not the greatest solution. So then we start adding armor to cars. Armored trains were very popular. The car obviously is more mobile than the train because it's limited to where its tracks go. But these were found to keep the occupants safe from small arms fire and certain levels of explosions. So then we're gonna up it from there. So you got the armored trains here. So the tank. So this is really going to be the first tank. It's called Little Willie. It's developed by the British. For a short period of time, they were called land ships, water carriers, and then just tank. And one of the cool ways they were called a water carrier is the factory that was making them. They didn't want people to know they're building tanks, so they said we're building water tanks. Just a big metal tank to hold water, and then it just got shortened. The problem with Little Willie here is too short. It would go into craters, shell holes, it would go into trenches, and it would have a difficult time getting out. So, as the first tank, it's actually a failure. So, the British and the French led the way. The Germans are spending more of their time on anti tank weapons, but the tank is really going to get rid of the reliance on trench warfare because once you have a vehicle that can go right over the trenches and wreak havoc, the trench isn't really that valuable anymore. So here's a British Vickers tank. It's going to be the 30s and into World War II. It's obviously got a dual-mounted machine gun in the turret. Light, fast, wholly unarmored compared to what Germany's going to throw at them in World War II. France, lots of light and medium tanks. This is the Renault tank. They relied more on being fast. And the armament wasn't always that big, and the armor on the tank wasn't always that thick. So they're going to find out that's going to be a problem too. So what's the best tanks of the 30s? This is a really good one. Armor, firepower, mobility, 47 millimeter gun. Could destroy any other tank that was made at that time, high velocity round. So that's good. This tank they thought might have been the closest to an invulnerable tank. 47 millimeter gun, a 75 millimeter howitzer in the front. Okay, you got to aim directly at your target to fire it though. Heavy riveted armor. Now this is gonna be obsolete pretty quick. So great tanks, but most didn't have radios. So that's a problem with the French. How are you gonna coordinate your movement? Hey, there's a tank in the tree line. Let's go attack. You can't talk to them. What are you gonna do? Hand signals? Hey, it's not gonna work out so good. So tanks start getting shorter, so they're harder to hit, and then they start angling the armor so you get more ricochets instead of direct hits, and it makes it just lighter. So this is the Mark 8, really long, 7 miles per hour. This is going to be real good at the end of World War I. Walter Christie got about a minute left. Excellent tank designer, but really hard to work with. Apparently a pretty stubborn guy, but he really helped America out. But tanks in general, not great early on. Weak engines, poor transmissions. In World War I, at the Battle of Cambrai, there was something like 30 tanks put into battle in the first battle, and 7 of them made it to their target. So that's not going so hot. So as we get into World War II, better transmissions, better engines, better tracks. This is the T-34. It did a 2,000-kilometer test run without any reported failures. So they're getting a lot more reliable. Here's some of the famous tanks of World War II. Tanks now have radios, better armor, everything. Germany is going to just outclass France like crazy, and they're going to get their butt kicked. We're going to start getting experimental tanks, like super heavy tanks. Look at that one on the left. Dual sets of tracks on both sides. Weighs 95 tons. So turrets are now essential. And then you have specialty tanks like flamethrowers and recovery. That's tanks, everybody.